This is from the Bleacher Report. Bargain free agents at every position after roster cuts earlier in the week. Running backs. They list Kareem Hunt. They had Dalvin Cook. He signed with the Cowboys a little bit earlier in the week. And Matt Breida. They say potential fits, Browns and the Cowboys. Matt Breida was among the 49ers' final cuts. Hasn't been a regular starter since 2018. 29-year-old serviceable depth player with at least one start each of the last 3 of the 4 seasons. Last 4 seasons. I'll get it out. Jake, Breida makes sense to you. Is there any other free agent? We've already said we think Foreman, will likely be on this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think Deontay comes back unless that rib injury that he suffered in Seattle is more serious than we've been led to believe. I feel like he's back. I also could understand somebody like Breida because he runs well and can be a part of some a little bit maybe perhaps more consistent version of Pierre Strong, but I would be kind of surprised if they went outside of what that expectation is with those three backs, Jerome, Deontay, and then Pierre, and then kind of like in the first 6 weeks working Nick and Naheem Hines back into the fold. So those are interesting names, right? Like I know the NFL just released their waiver system stuff. The Browns didn't do anything in that. I'm not surprised by that. They didn't want to claim anyone. But some running backs, younger guys moved like Hassan Haskins and Cody Schrader's a rookie. But like, yeah, I don't envision them going outside of that unless, like I said, we could end up surprised because maybe Foreman is less healthy than we have been led to believe. But getting a running back this late into your world is really hard to get them up to speed, and that's a huge part of what Foreman benefits from is his being around the team for this long. And he was also playing pretty well in the preseason, moving well. So I have to hope that works itself back out because the names there are they're okay, but it's not going to change the bottom line of this team, right?
So tight ends, they list C.J. Uzama, Donald Parham from the Chargers, and Joshua DeGuara. Chargers released Parham, a bit of a surprise given his history and past production. 27-year-old, appeared 47 games. Chargers red zone threat with 11 touchdowns. Any of those guys intrigue you for the Browns? Is there another name at tight end? We again, only two of them on the roster right now, Akins and Njoku.
Well, they love to use a sixth and sometimes seventh offensive lineman in those heavy personnel groupings like goal line and fourth and short. I would not be surprised if they stick with just two tight ends, especially if they're worried about, quarterback in some way, shape, or form in terms of maybe you have to keep that third quarterback, and that kind of tightens the belt at other positions. They plan to just use one tight end on the field a lot. There could be like 10 snaps or so, maybe for Jordan Akins, but even when it's like again down on the goal line, you traditionally think of three tight ends, two running backs. Like they don't really live in that world. Like Nick Harris will be their fullback, and they'll probably bring in like Javion Cohen, another sixth offensive lineman, and even a seventh guy if they want to, as far as O linemen go, and Zach Zinter, and like just go out and try to bully people in that way, right? So I don't know that like I remember Steven Carlson hit the market. He was with the Browns a few years back. I just don't. They're so like they have this tight knit of players they look at, and they so rarely like they brought Mike Ford back to the special practice squad today, the corner from last year, special teams guy. Like they just like their guys, and the NFL has worked away from this world where because the practice squad has opened itself up in such a unique way that it almost serves as this 16 player minor league situation for your team. And you just don't see the movement you used to see all over the place. So I don't have this high expectation that we're going to see a different running back or tight end, even though, like Josiah DeGura could be somebody who's like an interesting Giovanni Ricci type fullback hybrid tight end replacement. That's interesting. Um, again, the other names there like Parham. Yeah, I mean, there's relevance. They could be fine, but I just don't know how hungry the Browns are to put a third tight end on an 11 personnel team that likes to use offensive linemen and heavy looks. So I would probably put it at like 90-10 that they end up with two tight ends, and then they have Zaire Mitchell-Paden, who did make some nice strides in the preseason as a player they could bring up and elevate on a game day from the practice squad if they wanted to.